A Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure deck is usually a product of its time, and not typically meant to be played years after its initial release. But it does beg the question, how would older decks do against today's decks? With that said, I want to invite you to a structure deck showcase of Structure Deck KAIBA. Structure Deck KAIBA is the third pre-constructed deck to be released in the OCG Structure Deck series, all the way back January 24th, 2002. The deck features cards used by the character Seto KAIBA throughout the earlier parts of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Uniquely, this deck contains 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon cards, each in a different language. The deck is a high attack beatdown style, which features powerful monsters like the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and the Blue Eyes White Dragon as its pinnacle of strength. With cards as well like Megamorph offering the option to double their attack to 6,000 or 9,000 attack. The biggest plus to the deck is the addition of Soul Exchange that allows you to tribute your opponent's monsters in order for you to summon your own big monsters instead. The structure deck contains 56 cards in total, with 2 ultra rares, Kaiser's Seahorse and Vampire Lord, and 1 super rare, Battle Ox. The deck contains 53 common cards including Blue Eyes White Dragon 1, 2 and 3, Vorse Raider, Steel Ogre Grotto number 2, 2 copies of Lejin, the Mystical Genie of the Lamp, Sagi the Dark Clown, Ryu Kishin Powered, Cyber Stein, 2 copies of Sangan, Gillosaurus, Invitation to a Dark Sleep, Ancient Lamp, Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn, Premature Burial, 2 copies of Graceful Charity, Tribute to the Doomed, Mesmeric Control, Megamorph, Soul Exchange, Ekibo Drakmord, The Shallow Grave, 2 copies of Nobleman of Extermination, Nobleman of Crossout, Dark Hole, Snatch Steel, Gift of the Mystical Elf, Ryoku Field, Negate Attack, Ring of Destruction, Shadow Spell, Crush Card Virus, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Gadget Soldier, Vertigo the Destroyer, 2 copies of Needleworm, The Wicked Worm Beast, 2 copies of Heroes Shadow Scout, Morphing Jar number 2, Summoner of Illusions, Lord of D, Maneater Bug, The Flute of Summoning Dragon, Fairy Meteor Crush, Polymerization, Light of Intervention. Now to test this deck out in today's meta, unfortunately we have to take out some of the banned cards, which are Morphing Jar number 2, Snatch Steel, 2 copies of Graceful Charity, Premature Burial, Monster Reborn, Heavy Storm, Cyber Stein. Now with the legal cards, I can adjust the deck to how I want it, and here's what we're going to go for. So let's dive in and talk about some good and bad points about the deck. So first up, the card Soul Exchange is awesome in this deck. Allowing you to tribute your opponent's monsters is always good. So when they get their really powerful monsters, which typically they'll have, you just tribute their monster to summon your Vampire Lord. So it works out quite well. I added 2 Needleworms in the deck, and that monster lets you draw the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and they have to send all the monsters to the grave, or the spell cards to the grave. It was one or the other. And I added them in just in case I was able to deck out my opponent, because that's 10 cards gone. A lot of decks nowadays use a lot of draw engines, so I thought I could do that, but it never really benefited me, and that face down flip monster was actually quite bad to give my opponents, so yeah, not the best cards. I probably wouldn't add them in the future. Out of all the decks I've played so far, the Joey deck I would say was the worst. The Yugi deck was the second best, or the second worst, however you want to look at it, but the KAIBA deck I think is miles better than those 2 decks, because I actually felt like I stood a chance against some decks when I can actually get out powerful monsters, especially with cards like Tribute to the Doomed. You can actually get over some monsters. Ekibo Drakmord is able to destroy monsters, and if you're successful and they can't get rid of that card or that monster, then you can just add it back to your hand. I never actually got the opportunity to use it in these duels, but I remember playing Ekibo Drakmord when I was younger, and it was really good. Ring of Destruction has been errated, so I kind of learnt that now, and you tribute your opponent's monster rather than your monster now. Kind of forgot how it works, but Ring of Destruction was good. I think I tributed Ancient Gear Gadgetron Dragon to deal 3,000 damage to both of us once. Shadow Spell, not the best trap card, but it can keep you alive, but Negate Attack helped a lot, and Maneater Bug. Just these cards can help you get over problematic monsters, which some of the other decks didn't offer. Nobleman of Extermination I thought was quite a good card to have in this deck, because you can actually say they have a Solemn Strike in their deck and you banish that, you can actually get rid of all the Solemn Strikes throughout their deck. But a really unfortunate thing that happened against me was I was playing against a Trickstar deck, and I activated Nobleman of Extermination on one of those Trickstar Reincarnation, I think it was. Unfortunately, I activated it, and they had 2 of us face down, so they all appeared on the field. Crush Card did have some potential, but the only time I used it, it got rid of 2 cards, and my opponent still ended up winning. So yeah, Crush Card wasn't good enough to work in it, so that was a shame. I think the biggest hit of this deck has to be the loss of the banned cards for this one. And if I wasn't following my own rules, I reckon this deck would actually be really good, because with cards like Cyberstein, being able to special summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon for the cost of 5,000 life points is awesome. Having a 4,500 attack point monster, and then you've lost your life points, so you equip it with Megamorph, then it'll have 9,000 attack. That would have been absolutely fantastic. Then I would have probably included the Fairy Meteor Crush, so we can actually do piercing damage as well. That could have been awesome. Losing the Graceful Charities was also a big hit as well, because you can imagine activating Graceful Charity, chuck the Blue Eyes into the graveyard, then activate your Monster Reborns or your Premature Burials. They really, really could have come into useful, plus you just got your hand replenishment there. As well as the card Snatch Steal, being able to take your opponent's powerful monsters and then being able to tribute them. Especially if they got 2 monsters, you Snatch Steal 1, and then you Soul Exchange the other, so you can get rid of 2 of their monsters and summon it. Even though you can't attack, it's still absolutely awesome. If we were to compare this deck to the starter deck KAIBA for the TCG though, this one is so much better. The cards that you get included in this, Cyberstein, the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon being the biggest thing, as well as a polymerization and 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. I can't believe they didn't do that for the starter deck. I guess it's to sell more, because then you have to buy 3 starter decks, and you get 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons with that, but no, I definitely think the OCG versions of all the decks we've had so far are just leaps and bounds better than the starter deck ones that we got here in Europe and places like that. But yeah, overall, I thought this is the best deck we've had so far. Unfortunately, it still wasn't enough to get some consistent wins, but we had the most wins out of all the decks so far as well. I'm looking forward to next week because we get to play with Pegasus' deck. But other than that, guys, I want to know what you thought in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave this video a like. Have you played with this deck when you were younger or anything similar to that? Let me know below, and thanks a lot for watching.